Hello, everyone. I am Daniela Simina, the author of the three-part course Fairycrafting, The Art of Fairy Magic. If you're watching or listening to this, it is probably because the words fairy and fairy magic hold a certain appeal and got your attention. Welcome, and thank you for listening to this succinct overview of Fairycrafting, the course. First of all, why taking classes on fairies? Even more so, classes that emphasize connection and working in partnership with fairies. The motivation could lay partly with the fact that over the past couple of centuries, the world has been gradually stripped of magic, of the sense of thrill and wonder, brightness, darkness, mystery, miracle, and danger inherent to the cohabitation on this planet alongside denizens of fairy. It is my heartfelt belief that we need to bring back everything that has been lost or pushed to the side as ridiculous or redundant. Fairy lore, beliefs, and practices have roots that reach deep down within us, connecting our souls to power and beauty that words fail to describe. Cutting off one starves the other. Bringing back fairy fits both. But motivation to take classes on fairies may also arise from curiosity or from an unexplainable pull toward fairies and everything pertaining to them. And there is more that may feed into your desire to participate in classes such as this. Recent times have seen an upsurge in interest in all things fairy, coming from people. I mean, serious interest in reclaiming fairies from their relegation to children's books and whimsical postcard illustrations. From talking to people who work a fairy path that have various levels of commitment toward fairies, it seems that there is also a rise in interest on the part of fairies themselves in partnering up with humans. My personal view, and take that as you will, my personal view is that human-fairy relationships can be symbiotic, mutually advantageous, and like all healthy relationships, shall be based on mutual respect and mutual benefit. Fairies come in all sizes, and their fondness of humans vary by a very, very large degree. So if one chooses to pursue a path that is based in fairy beliefs, then the best thing is to do so while being fully prepared, which is exactly what Fairycrafting, the course, aims to do, to prepare. I should say that the name fairy, the way I'm using it here, is a catch-all term intended to keep things simple, fairly simple, and save me from getting on countless tangents, having to explain what am I talking about when mentioning Zune, wits or whites, the Alfar, Nadine Mahe, and so far and so forth. I am using the word fairy in reference to otherworldly beings, non-monstrous, encountered in every culture that I'm aware of, beings who are specific to the culture itself. However, fairies, by whatever name you choose to call them, are not confined by geographical features or physical or political boundaries. As you will see in the first part of this class, despite or maybe precisely because of their connection to specific cultures, intrinsic connection to cultures and peoples, fairy beings can and do travel along migrating humans. How are we going to approach the study, understanding, and the relationship forming part? The short answer is through theory and practice, a lot of practice, that you will cover in this class and carry on at home in form of assignments. You will receive workbooks, one for each of the three parts. I personally prefer workbooks because in workbooks, along with illustrations, definitions, examples, explanations, procedures laid down step by step, lists of resources and links to video and audio resources. There is also space left intentionally blank for note-taking. This allows keeping everything in one place, your notes, along with everything else, in one single binder, where everything is easy to retrieve and use. Of course, when it comes to note-taking, how and where and if, the choice is ultimately yours. There are more class materials such as books, some crystals, plant materials, and you will see. Anyway, be prepared to get a solid theoretical foundation. We will lay such foundation through exploration of traditional fairy views coming from the folklore of different cultures, alongside the exploration of more modern views. The passing of time and consequently change affect both humans and fairies, albeit at a different rate. However, fairies are not to be thought of as fossilized and therefore frozen in time, but rather understood in relationship to both old and new lore, as well as in relationship to records of fairy-related experiences and encounters that did happen and still do happen. Expect plenty of meditation practice and journey work. Besides what we do in class, you will also have access to recordings, so you can continue to practice independently. Using the workbooks and the links provided, you can then continue on your own to work toward developing relationships with fairy allies, expanding both your understanding of fairy beings as well as honing your skills in fairy magic. The more you study and practice, the better you become, and everything gets easier in time. There is a caveat. Since this is fairies that we're talking about, take the word easy with a grain of salt. Aside from the knowledge and experience that you will gain from this course, what I deem as probably the most important asset, something that you will take home, so to speak, is you becoming part of a small online community and gaining access to support and assistance pretty much around the clock. This is optional. Upon completing part 1, if you so desire, and only if you so desire, you will receive an invitation to join our closed group, Whispers in the Twilight, the Fairy Glen. This is a safe space where we can talk about fairy-related experiences, ask questions, keep track of each other's progress without fear of judgment or ridicule. This is also a place where I share from my personal practice and also list plenty of resources as well. Going back to the course description, as I said, it has 3 parts. Part 1, Fairycrafting, the art of fairy magic, foundations. As the name suggests, this class lays the groundwork for building fairy relationships. The class, scheduled in one day, one afternoon, it takes about 3.5 hours long to complete. Part 2, Fairycrafting, the art of fairy magic, build a fairy garden. In this class, you will build a relatively small-scale fairy garden and ceremonially dedicate the space that you have created to fairy allies to invite and nurture relationships. This class is also about 3.5 hours. Part 3, Fairycrafting, the art of fairy magic, working in partnership. In this class, which extends over 2 days, you will learn about and practically engage with different components of fairy magic. You will be basically working in partnership with fairy allies to a higher extent that you have done up to this point. This class takes about 7 hours to complete, and these 7 hours are split over 2 days. You do not have to take all 3 parts of this course. Again, you do not. Part 1 is the foundation for part 2 and or part 3. So part 1 is a prerequisite, but it is also self-standing. And you do not have to take parts 1, 2, 3 in this exact order. You do not. Once you have the foundation, part 1, you can engage directly with part 3 and take part 2 when and only if you wish. Each of these parts and the corresponding class materials will be introduced in more details in the next 3 episodes. So stay tuned. Use the links below to keep in touch. And once again, thanks for watching.